Mercedes has just launched the big daddy of their SUVs, the pinnacle of SUV luxury, the Maybach GLS 600. And from what we hear is that all 50 cars in the first lot have been sold out, or already orders have been taken for them. And talking to me about this is the head of Mercedes-Benz India's sales and marketing, Santosh Iyer. Santosh, I don't know whether in terms of timing this is good or what, but looks like people want to get back with their lives and indulge themselves after what has been a very, very difficult period, especially in India. But obviously, these orders would have come a lot before. So just wanted to understand, the response to the vehicle and what the really target audience is.
No, exactly, Hormazd. Thanks for having me here. And I think it's a bit of revelation in a sense where 2 to 3 weeks back we sent out a pre-launch circular to our dealer partners saying we will be introducing the GLS Maybach. We have close to 50 plus units now in India because these cars have come in. And we opened up the orders, and immediately, by the time we came to the launch now, because we were not sure of the launch date, you would recall that the GLA, we did a very soft launch for the GLA, just announced the price because the timing was not right. But still, there was always a latent sentiment that yes, we need cars, and even for the GLA, we had orders, and that's the reason of announcing price. Now, coming back to GLS, the moment we announced this, there are customers, many of them young guys. For us, that's also another revelation that the average age around 40 to 45 for such an expensive car. Because when you look at an on-road price, the 2.43 translates to 3 crores with the registration insurance. So it's a high-ticket car, and actually with such a very strong buoyant demand. To add to it, this is 50 plus to be clear, and then we have another set of customers who are already configuring cars for delivery next year, which is when you look at our online configurator for the GLS Maybach, the car can go up to 4 crores because of all the options and equipments available and the mix and match options. And we have again for the first time made a very transparent online Indian configurator where you can pick and choose all the options. You can get Indian pricing and then you can decide on the car. So this now also we are seeing a traction where people want to configure to the best dual tones, all the bells and whistles, even if the car price is going in that region of 3.5 to 4 crores. So I think it's a very the demand is strong. I think there's a lot of optimism also among customers when you look at it, because the lockdown is still not done because we have just 50% of our showrooms open, but we see still such a strong demand for these cars.
Right. And, just to understand SUVs, obviously they lend themselves better, but you typically associate a Maybach more with the S-Class. How do you think, it's different in the sense that are the customers very different in terms of their needs? I mean, one would imagine, it's a very different kind of Maybach customer.
Yeah, I think the profile that we have got also from an S-Class Maybach that we have traditionally, it's mostly business houses, large leaders of many large, big business houses. It's a customary practice. The new S-Class Maybach comes or S-Classes to be replaced every 3 years, and they go for the Maybachs also for the top tycoons. For the GLS Maybach, we see a complete big affinity, right from Bollywood, cricket, sports, lot of young guys. I think it's just because of the SUV and a Maybach combination, which actually attracts a very different kind of profile. So it's definitely not the S-Class Maybach set of customers. It's a very different profile, different needs, and also because for us, many customers decided to go for it immediately because it was available. And there's another set of customers who say, no, I want to customize it and I will wait for even 6 months time. So their challenge was not whether to buy. Their challenge was whether I go for the pre-spec, because these were all based on our understanding and specs that we got this car. So I think this customer profile is different from the S-Class Maybach for sure, though they are all ultra rich, coming from a different strata or a similar strata of society, but the needs are different and the profile is a bit different.
And Santosh, looking at the way the SUV sales are growing, do you find that they are slowly and steadily creeping into sedan market share? Do you find that your overall SUV portfolio market share is growing vis-a-vis the sedans?
So when I look at, for example, our strong sedan products, if you see the C-Class, the E-Class and the S-Class, these are the three strong mainstays. And now we have the A-Class that we launched quite recently. the E-Class has never shown a dip in demand. It grows year on year, and it continues to really surprise all of us with the absolute domination in that segment also. Then comes the S-Class. Again, that's something, it's a life cycle product. So the moment the new car comes in, we see a huge uptake. Then of course there is a bit of slowdown, a facelift, it goes up. So again, in that segment we don't see. Then comes the C-Class as well as the A-Class that we have launched. So it's too early to say about A-Class because we are still selling off all the cars that we are producing. It's completely hand to mouth right now. And when you look at the C-Class, we were stocked out pre-pandemic. Right now, we are still, now we are restarted, and we will be able to deliver only by say July, August, some of these cars. So I think we don't see, but yes, it's the rate of growth is still lower than the SUV. So, and maybe it's also the reason that in SUVs we have products like GLC where we were never existing in the past. So when you look at the portfolio, we never had a product in that segment many years back, and now it's all adding on to on top volume. So from a sheer percentage growth, SUVs is significantly higher than sedans. But sedans continue to grow. It's stagnant or it's losing. So the cannibalization is still lesser, and I think the new customers coming into are all coming into SUVs, whereas the traditional luxury customers still prefer the sedans. Is our read or our take right now.
Right. No, that's quite interesting. And you said that, a lot of much younger customer looking at the GLS Maybach than, let's say, the sedan. But again, just sticking with the SUVs, do you think going forward that is really the way to grow, let's say, volumes in India, that, a sharper focus on SUVs? The sedans are definitely there, and, that is the kind of, let's say, the bedrock of the brand. But do you think that, going forward for India, there will be, let's say, compared to other markets, a slightly sharper focus on SUVs, just seeing that the trend is accelerating so much?
Yeah, so fortunately, our product portfolio is quite vast, and we have now set up, Martin made the comment today of 24 odd products that we have now in our showrooms, right from the A-Class now to the GLS Maybach. So as a portfolio, we have everything for the market. What we won't do is in a certain product, we try to bring many variants or many types of top, because that adds complexity for the customer. It also has a big impact on the residual value of the car. So, but for us, we would continue to like to give options both on the body type as well as on the engine types, but not complicate it too much within a segment, because that's what we have thought of from a strategic perspective. So if it's an E-Class, we are only offering a long wheelbase E-Class, for example, but we will continue to offer the E-Class. If it's a GLC, again, it's that product, that segment, and we will and maybe just the top end variant. We won't have again an entry level variant, again a mid and a high kind of a strategy, because I think the customers in this segment, as research clearly shows, want fully spec cars with all the bells and whistles, and we may, in that, you can say, we may forego the 5% of customers who would want that entry level, but it's better to avoid complexity for the long run, also for better residual value. So that's the path that we are taking, than giving up on a body type at all.
Right. No, that's interesting, talking about complexity for residual value. But honestly, Santosh, complexity even from a cost perspective, because today the regulations and the hoops you have to run through, even for an engine change, homologation, all the certification, sometimes it just doesn't make sense for the limited volumes that one variant might have, where there's more homologation required, specifically engine variant. Do you think this is also an issue?
Absolutely right, Hormazd. You are bang on, and that's why adding too many lineups, variants, entry levels, mid level doesn't. But having said that, fuel type has to be offered. Customers need petrol and diesel, and we still see in different parts of India the affinity is still there. For example, up north in Punjab, you still see diesel affinity. Kerala is another market which is highly strong and a very high affinity on diesels. No proper explanations. You can conjure why, but frankly, it's been there for many years now, and that's the way the market is. So you will need fuel types. Then comes, do we need now top end and the bottom end on the engine? So here we thought that when you have to look at a performance engine, it's better to go the AMG route. That's why
Correct.
we have come up with the 35 engines also, and performance there. So not only you get performance, you also get the badging, you also get the sound, because these are additional levers to buy maybe there. So we won't go with a very high spec diesel engine maybe on the top. We can give an AMG there to satisfy those customers. So that's the way we are trying to build or reduce complexity, but at the same time give offerings to customers. Yeah, manage it. Yeah.
Great. So, and last question, Santosh, overall looking at 2021, we've too early to say, but we've unlocked. But sense one gets is that, it's signs are quite positive. Just been literally a day in Maharashtra and rest of India as well. Are you hopeful? I mean, obviously, one can never predict a third wave, but are you generally hopeful?
So the first thing that we did is, this weekend we vaccinated not only our colleagues but all the contractors in our company, and we have also told our dealers we may offer financial support to vaccinate the entire dealer staff and the community, because I think that's the first step we feel in de-risking the business to some extent. Because if the core teams, our stakeholders are vaccinated, we can expect less of stoppages or less of lockdowns. The second, when you now look at a market outlook, I think we, with this kind of product lineup that we have, feel, and most of them are new products, the new A class, the GLA. Now, some of them are the super specialty, but we also have the E class, the A class. So, with our order bank and position, we still are committed to a double-digit growth for this year. We still are committed to the 15-odd product launches, and we feel there is no significant macroeconomic change which has happened when you compare a March with a June. Of course, 2 months have gone away from the equation, but when I compare this with the last pandemic and the last wave, I would say, not the but the last first wave, there were discussions on job losses, there were discussions on corporate results, there were discussions on migrant laborers. But this time we don't see those discussions, and in that sense, the corporate earnings are at an all-time high. The stock market seems to be buoyant. The customer sentiment is positive. That's why the GLS Maybach on the one extreme, and on the other side, the GLA price announcement on 25th of May. Because as I said, at a time when the market was not opened up, we still had requests, please tell us the price, and we can, because registrations were open in Maharashtra, people were ready to take deliveries. So it seems there is pent up demand, and for sure the next 3 to 4 months should see a revival. And thankfully, again, it's festive season. So September, October, November should see a very sharp revival on the demand side also. At least that's our current outlook. If there is no further lockdowns.
Great, Santosh. Thanks for that. Really, I think on that optimistic note, let's hope the rest of the year is good. And congrats once again on the launch of really your pinnacle SUV. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.